You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
And on today's Friday review, I have 3 great products that I want to bring to you today. One is a book that I just read a few weeks back. I was actually in the, I believe, Denver airport, and my flight, which is usually always on time with JetBlue, travel quite a bit, and JetBlue usually never lets me down. But I get there an hour or so before my flight. They still hadn't put up the delay, or I could have spent much more time where I was. And I ended up hanging out at the airport for an extra 5 hours. So I already read the books that had been with me on my trip. I didn't want to listen to any more podcasts. I was pretty much, looking for something to do for that 5 hours. Couldn't drive back to where I was in Boulder, so I had to make the best of my time. So I picked up a few books, and one of the books that I did pick up right at those little newsstands was a book called Living Forward. So Living Forward is a book by Michael Hyatt. So Michael Hyatt wrote this book with Daniel Harkavy, and I believe they've been writing partners for quite a bit. They do a pretty good job bouncing back and forth throughout the book, and sometimes it's a little confusing to be like, all right, who's saying what? And they say, okay, Michael here, okay, Daniel here, but the content in the book, I think, is actually fantastic. And it's a very easy to read book. Literally, I read this book in just a little over an hour. Let's see, there's 183 pages or so in the book. And really a great book to go through when you're searching for something in life that you can't really put your finger on, but you know that you're looking for more out of life. You're looking to make your life have more meaning, that you're just stuck in a spot right now where things aren't necessarily that bad, but you know that it's lacking something, that it could be better. I saw this book. I thought it would be great to check out. Nice little cover. It says, a proven plan to stop drifting and get the life you want. And so what I did was, I read this book, of course, but I highlighted some of the main passages that I thought would be great to share with you. So I'm not going to ruin the book, but I do want to share a couple things with you. And because this is one that I say, some of the books that I recommend, maybe they're not meant for everyone to read, but everyone should know the information within them. So I try to outline them, and I try to give you the best little nuggets. Today, I want to give you a little bit of a gist for what this book is all about so that you can decide that you might want to go out and buy this book, which I am recommending. Okay, so, and again, I don't know Michael Hyatt. I really don't know any of the products that I recommend for the most part. Sometimes I do, but this is just a book that I thought you would get a lot of information out of, and so I wanted to share it with you. So at page 39, after giving a little bit of an intro, they go into 3 powerful questions to ask yourself. So those powerful questions are, question 1, how do you want to be remembered? So it's always best to start with the end in mind. At the end of your life, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered by your partner or significant other, by your children, by your parents, by your family, by your friends, by your coworkers? It's a great thing to think about. And again, it's just like thinking about, well, if I want to be remembered in this way, when am I going to start acting in that way so that people remember me that way? And I think that was really powerful, because if you want something, you have to start acting towards it now, because it just doesn't happen overnight. It takes weeks and months and years for that image, that mentality, and that legacy to live on. And so great question to start with right there, something that you could think about for yourself right now. The second powerful question is, what matters most? So what matters most to you right now? And a lot of people, they put what matters most to them so far down their priority list that what happens is they pushed out a lot of the things in their life that mean a lot to them. that where if they just even did a couple of those things, maybe even just one that meant something to them, that mattered really a lot to them, that if they started doing that one thing, well, they might start enjoying life a lot more. And believe it or not, I've looked at that in my own life because I do have a tendency to work a lot. I have a tendency to take on a lot of different projects. And sometimes it pushes away a lot of things, like the fun things that I want to do in my life. I love my work, absolutely do. And it's the reason I do what I do, because I want to share what I've learned with others. And I know that a lot of people are probably in the same position I was, not living the best life, not being very healthy, and not really just enjoying life that much. So I try to share that with as many people as possible, and hopefully you share it with others as well, so that they don't have to live in that spot if they choose not to. But sometimes it means like, okay, well, I really wanted to do more sprint triathlon training this summer, but I took on a lot of projects, took on a lot more writing, and I couldn't dedicate the time that I wanted to it. But when you think about it, how much extra time would it have taken for me a week? Probably like 3 extra hours. And if I split that over 7 days, and I'm really looking at maybe an hour, 3 days a week, could I have carved that out? I could have, and so that's what I'm looking at in my own life as well, is carving out more time for some of the things that would bring me a little bit more happiness and joy as well. Okay, next powerful question is, how can I get from here to where I want to be? Meaning like, okay, you discovered more of what you want out of life. You discovered how you want to be remembered. Here's where you are now. Be really honest with yourself. Here's where you are right now. What do you have to do? What would have to happen for you to achieve some of those things? Now, and you just, again, don't judge yourself. Don't put any limits on yourself. Just start to write down what would have to happen. Would you have to have a new job with different hours? Would your kids have to be a little bit older? Would you have to have a babysitter? Like think of it that way. What would have to happen? Like for me, like let's just say I was at home and with my children for most of the day. Well, to get that 3 extra hours a week, I would have to hire a babysitter for 3 hours, right? Like, so you look at it in a way like, okay, well, is that feasible? Can I do that? And if you can, and that's okay with everyone in the situation, but again, it should matter to you as well, then that's not a bad thing. That would buy you 3 extra hours per week. So pretty amazing to look at. Don't want to review the whole book, but in the end of the book on page 163, it starts to go into basically writing your own life plan. I'm telling you, you have to look at this stuff now. Don't look at it in the last year or two of your life. Although that would matter, start to look at your life right now. Start to take a really like an audit of it, take an account of it. Start to think about, again, how you want to be remembered. Write your eulogy out. Like, again, what are people going to say about you? So, again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, although I wish I could. Maybe I'll make another episode just about this book because there's so many great things in it. But check out this book, simple read. You don't have to read it all in one sitting. You could simply read this over a course of a week or even just 2 weeks by reading, about 10 pages per day. That's 140 pages over 2 weeks. Just a couple extra pages, you'd be through the whole book, well, at least in 3 weeks. So check it out. We'll put it in our show notes. And again, great book. Give it a high recommendation. Okay, second product to review today is a product called Collagen. So it's becoming more popular, so I figured, why not talk about it? It's something we've used in our practice for quite a while, and it can be very healthy for people. So what is collagen or collagen-based drinks? So the one I'm just going to talk now, there's so many collagen-based drinks, right? So I don't want to exclude any. There's so many great companies. It's just we use the one by Great Lakes. It's an orange container. You can buy it pretty much anywhere. We'll link it up again in the show notes. But collagen basically comes from animal or fish-based bones and cartilage and those types of things. And again, if you're vegan, this is not going to be for you. So I completely understand that. I work with many vegans and vegetarians. I work with pescatarians. I work with paleo and primal. So anyone with any type of nutritional plan I work with in my practice, and I can empathize with every single one of them. And so this right now is obviously for people who are okay with eating some animal and fish. So what is this? Well, the collagen actually helps to rebuild and strengthen all of the tissues in the body, the proteins in the body. Collagen is a very simple way to get easily digestible amino acids from protein. So it's essentially just this very light-colored tan powder. If you buy the Great Lakes one, you can mix it in hot water and drink it as a tea. You could just mix it in a smoothie. You could also just mix it in water, and you could drink it. I typically recommend to drink it away from other meals, and probably 30 minutes before a meal is a good thing to do, or some people like to drink it right before bed as like a little bit of a tea. Now, it's anywhere from 10 to 15 grams of just pure protein, depending on how many tablespoons you're using. And again, a lot of people use this for joint support. It's been shown in clinical studies. One of the largest ones was the International Society of Sports and Nutrition, actually looked at helping to improve knee pain and knee mobility. And what they found was that at the end of a real study, so a real study is in 2 weeks. At the end, I believe the study was 4 or 5 months. It showed that those people using the collagen actually had much less knee-based pain, joint pain, and they were more mobile. So fantastic. Now, let me tell you this. One thing we use it for in my practice is actually for people who have very weak digestion. It's a very simple way of getting easily digestible protein, but we mainly use it for its rich source of glycine. And not a lot of people know that. Collagen powders are extremely high in glycine, and glycine helps with detoxification. So it helps the body with the liver detoxification, so basically phase 1 and phase 2 detox that we talked about, and it will help you remove a lot of toxins from your body. And you've heard me talk about before how detoxification has to be the cornerstone of our health going forward. When you have 77,000 man-made chemicals, meaning poisons, in the environment, you know that there is no escaping them. That's the bottom line. That's one of the reasons why we created the Dr. Cabral Detox. But the main reason is because using that by itself, whether you're healthy or not healthy, is the cornerstone to starting out a good program that's going to get you to your goals, whether it be more energy, detoxification, better skin, better energy, better sleep, and of course, weight loss. So great product. We'll link it up again. Great Lakes collagen powder. Please feel free to ask any questions or follow-ups you have on that. It's a nice, clean one, though. I believe it is completely organic, nice, clean product. Okay, so the last one is people were emailing in a little bit about my organic gardening that I'm doing. And again, I'm an amateur gardener, but I do like to, really get into things. And that's one of the things that I got into last season. And I'm doing it this year as well. And so this year I have all sorts of different spring lettuce. We have leeks, we have kale, we have Swiss chard, we have basil, we have mint. I'm trying to think of some of the other great herbs we have. But not massive either. I mean, this is not a complicated garden. If you look back at my previous episodes, you'll see the planters that I bought. They're about 3 feet off the ground. They keep away the animals from eating all of our stuff and, playing in it and all of those different things. And so what we do is we use a specific organic soil. We use one that's called Black Gold. We mixed it with a few other things, but Black Gold is the one that we're using. And it's an organic soil, and it's also a soil that's been shown to really hold water and fortify the plants that you're growing in them. Now, there are better soils you can get. Don't get me wrong. Like, you could actually find an organic gardener and like all of these specific things, but this is a very common one. And I like to be able to recommend things that the majority of the world can do. Yes, there's a few like very elite things that some people could do, but I wanted to give you one that's kind of like all purpose that you could feel pretty good about it. And it's one that doesn't have any harmful pesticides in it, right? So I think that's pretty important as well. You can grow flowers in it. You can grow food in it, of course, like vegetables and herbs like we're doing. It's a really good quality one. You can feel the like fluffiness of the soil. You can feel like that it's also a nice, dense, dark dirt as well. So let me tell you about this though. The only caveat, the only side note is this: if there's one drawback to it, is this is what I've seen. I don't use it inside, but I am actually recommending it that you could use it inside. Is there are sometimes like little gnats or little things that get into soil, like there's insects in soil, and that's kind of the way it works. So if you're going to use this for indoor use, what you're going to want to do is put your potters or your planting things outside for a couple days. And when you plant your vegetables or your fruit or whatever it might be, you are going to put them outside, just keeping them out there for a couple days, and all that soil will then release any type of bugs or gnats or anything like that in it, and they'll fly away and they'll be gone, and then you can bring them back inside. So everybody will be happy. Great soil. It's one that I'm using right now that I find quite reputable. If there's one that you like, I'd love to hear about it, because again, I'm an amateur when it comes to gardening, but I do enjoy it, and I do enjoy not only teaching my little kids about this, but also just being able to watch it grow from nothing to actual food that I can put in my body and nourish myself and nourish my family, and also give it away to others, because we grow more than we need, and so we're able to share with others as well. So hopefully you found today's episode useful, helpful. Do let me know if there's anything else you would like me to review in the future. I'd be happy to do that. And if you did find this show of interest and it was helpful, please do feel free to share it with others. I would appreciate that. Thanks, everyone. Thanks again for tuning into another Cabral Concept.
Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.